This is a piece written by David Blankenhorn in the Los Angeles Times, which has gotten a good deal of attention. And what the heck, we can devote at least a segment to it. If you would like to contradict it, I would ask you to listen to it first. I'm a liberal Democrat, writes Mr. Blankenhorn.
Did you say liberal?
I said liberal. I don't want to pop my B's. I am a liberal Democrat. Anyway, I do not favor same-sex marriage. Do those positions sound contradictory? To me, they fit together. Many seem to believe that marriage is simply...
Oh, by the way, I want to throw this in here now.
I had a flow going.
Both Barack Obama and John McCain and Hillary Clinton are against gay marriage. Just for the record.
Many seem to believe that marriage is simply a private love relationship between two people. They accept this view in part because Americans have increasingly emphasized and come to value the intimate, emotional side of marriage, and in part because almost all opinion leaders today, from journalists to judges, strongly embrace this position. That's certainly the idea that underpinned the California Supreme Court's legalization of same-sex marriage. But I spent a year studying the history and anthropology of marriage, and I've come to a different conclusion.
Well, no, this is interesting because this is the sort of background information people often use to either support or deny gay marriage.
Right.
You hear people say, the Greeks often had 5 wives. If you go further back, cavemen regularly took more than one wife, or men laid down together, or whatever.
Right. But again, let's not talk about private love relationships. Marriage as a human institution is constantly evolving, and many of its features vary across groups and cultures. But there is one constant. In all societies...
Nagging.
Oh, God.
Is that the constant in marriages?
Amen to that, brother.
High five.
Don't leave me hanging. Marriage as a human institution is constantly evolving. Many of its features vary across groups and cultures, but there is one constant. In all societies, marriage shapes the rights and obligations of parenthood. Among us humans, the scholars report, marriage is not primarily a license to have sex, nor is it primarily a license to receive benefits or social recognition. It is primarily a license to have children. In this sense, and I'd point out it's not an exclusive license, but here's what he means. In this sense, marriage is a gift that society bestows on its next generation. And aside from me, not the participants, the offspring. Marriage, and only marriage, unites the 3 core dimensions of parenthood, biological, social, and legal, into one pro-child formula. Or form, rather, the married couple. Marriage says to a child, the man and woman whose sexual union made you will also be there to raise you and presumably love you. Marriage says to a society as a whole, for every child born, there is a recognized mother and father, accountable to the child and to each other. These days, because of the gay marriage debate, one can be sent to bed without supper for saying such things. But until very recently, almost no one denied this core fact about marriage. Summing up the cross-cultural evidence, the anthropologist Helen Fisher in 1992 put it simply, people wed primarily to reproduce. The philosopher and Nobel laureate Bertrand Russell, certainly no friend of conventional sexual morality, was only repeating the obvious a few decades earlier when he concluded that, quote, it is through children alone that sexual relations become important to a society and worthy to be taken cognizance of by legal institution. Marriage is society's most pro-child institution. He mentioned study after study saying that though other family forms can do fine raising kids, quote, family structure clearly matters for children, and the family structure that helps children the most is a family headed by 2 biological parents in a low-conflict marriage. His idea being, and there's more to it, I don't want to drone on forever, when people say gay marriage weakens heterosexual marriage, what they're saying is it completely ignores the reason for, the necessity for heterosexual marriage and redefines the term in a completely different way. Marriage is not a legal sanction of you being in love.
It's not?
Not primarily. It may be kind of as a tangent and good for you. It's primarily a societal structure to protect children. That is the it weakens heterosexual marriage argument, which I have never heard enunciated nearly as well as this does.
So does this person believe that gay couples should not be able to adopt kids? Or, get a kid through however you do it, like David Crosby?
Melissa Etheridge. I don't know.
Is he just saying the ideal is a man and a woman?
Here's my reasoning. I reject homophobia and believe in the equal dignity of gay and lesbian love. But I also believe with all my heart in the right of the child to the father and mother who made her. People always use her in these arguments because little girls are more sympathetic than little boys. By the way, you will always refer to the child as her in this sort of argument. I've noticed that. Where was I? I believe with all my heart the right of the child to the father and mother who made her, and I believe that we as a society should seek to maintain and to strengthen the only human institution, marriage, that is specifically intended to safeguard that right and make it real for our children. Legalized same-sex marriage almost certainly benefits those same-sex couples who choose to marry, as well as the children being raised in those homes. But changing the meaning of marriage to accommodate homosexual orientation further and perhaps definitively undermines for all of us the very thing, the gift, the birthright that is marriage's most distinctive contribution to society. That's a change that in the final analysis I cannot support. It is a self-declared liberal Democrat.
I don't know.
You don't need to know. You need to think deeply, prayerfully, if that is your preference.